Good morning, good day, good night, all that fun stuff to everybody out there. This is JP back with another recap of week 7. And I don't think I have too much to say, but I guess we'll find out when I keep talking through this video. Let's go. So, small thing, not that you guys probably would notice, maybe you would notice, I decided to change my camera angle after 7 weeks of not realizing that I was really looking up when I could have literally had it down a little more. That's irrelevant information, and also to go along with that irrelevant information, I'm deciding to wear my glasses in this video. But let's go ahead and jump into this, why not? So this week was a little different. It wasn't the typical learn something, implement it type of week. It was more of a take everything you know and implement it into all these projects that we're giving you. And we, as the students, clearly did not have a say-so, as we are students and we are supposed to be learning from the masters themselves. We ended up making a game each day. So like on the first day, we made a hangman game. The second day, we made like a button clicker game. Third day, we made tic-tac-toe. Fourth, we made this card game like war, you know, when you flip your card over and your opponent flips their card, and whoever card is higher wins. And then on day 5, we made like this, well, I call it the Catching Nemo game, but it's like you press the start button on the games, and it shows you all of these places where these images are hiding, and you have to go find them after they are done hiding. And the game is a lot tougher than you would think. And making it is even more tough. But that is pretty much what we did this week. So let me go ahead and not necessarily go through the process of making each game, but the steps we had to follow to get through it. And I was actually super thankful for this week because it taught me a lot about being a programmer. So let's go ahead and scoot into that. So the process in making these games is it's a simple step-by-step process. One I had no knowledge of on the first day. That was like my first and worst day of ever trying to work with someone that is a teammate. And 2, actually coding a huge project. So it was difficult because I tried to jump straight into coding and not even think about how the game itself works. And then taking it apart and realizing the small individual functions of each part of that game and then incorporating it into a larger one. Had no knowledge of that. I like crashed and burned like halfway through the day. And then I had to go to the dentist, so I left early and I left my partner early, and it was all bad. I hated it all. I felt super bad for that first day. I apologize, first day partner. You know who you are. But after that first day, they kind of broke it down for us and told us how really the things should be going. So of course you'll get with your teammate, and the first thing you don't want to do is open your IDE. That's a no-no. Your brain's gonna start thinking, oh, well, we should be coding something. Like, no. You need to sit down, grab a piece of paper, take the next 30 minutes to an hour, and think about the game and how it works. Once you think about that, then you need to think about the small separate functions and get deeper into detail about how everything about that game works. Like, most people, for example, play tic-tac-toe, and you think, okay, I'm gonna click this square and there's an X there, and now my opponent's gonna click an O in this circle. Well, to us, it's like, well, if they're going to click that box, we need to make sure that that box does something, and if it needs to display this image and then disable this box. And then somehow, some way, it automatically needs to be player 2's turn. Well, the computer does not automatically know that you want to switch to another player's turn, so you do have to write functions for this. And just thinking about these small incremental things that most people don't even notice is happening behind the scenes, us developers have to worry and think about. So that was just one of the things that come into sitting down and planning and writing all that stuff down. Now, another thing that was actually really frustrating when working with teams is using GitHub. My God. Like, I thought it was simple in theory at first, and then when you start collaborating with other people, they start pulling down projects, and you start pulling down the same project, and then they do one thing to this project, and you don't necessarily write the same code as them in these projects, but it's almost kind of similar. They may have like 1 or 2 different lines. Either way it goes, you have to merge these files together, and that is a huge hassle. I'm actually still kind of like a little fuzzy on it. So I guess over the time, I'll get better at it. But right now, I'm glad I've been introduced to it because I'm like, good Lord, this is more troublesome than the project itself. So jumping back into the process, after you've written and pretty much discussed in detail how the game works and what you guys may be working on, then you need to delegate work. So one person may work on displaying letters in the game, maybe it'd be Hangman or something, and then the other person's gonna work on the start and reset function of that game. And then, you know, after you do all that, you wanna constantly keep updating your GitHub so you guys are always on the same page. That was pretty easy, just understanding to delegate work and all. Not the GitHub. GitHub is not easy, guys. It's not easy. After that, you kind of just go into the code and just kind of keep up with each other. And another big thing I noticed is when you are writing this code, do not wait until you think you got all the code together to make sure it works. You need to test that junk piece by piece. And I do mean piece by piece. Like, I was taking a start button and just making sure that I was grabbing that ID for that button before I would even go into trying to say, well, this variable needs to be 0, and this variable also needs to be 0, and then we're gonna do a plus equals to add on to this. No, I'm trying to make sure I'm getting the HTML first, and then we can slowly work our way into making sure all these other functions work. That is pretty much the process of which you go through all these things until, you know, the finished product happens. And then after all of it was done, we got the last hour of the day to see everybody else's projects and how they thought about it, what they went through, what troubles they had, and just see how they code the entire project themselves. It's really interesting. I really appreciated this week because, like, it gives you that hands-on experience of really being a developer and what you'll probably be doing in the day in the life of a developer. It was really great to actually have this week, and I hope we have like maybe another 2. You guys give me too many of these weeks, I may cry. Just letting you guys know. This week was actually really frustrating. There's a lot of Googling and then a lot of face palming. A lot of face palming. I think I've covered everything. Yeah, I think we've covered everything. So if you like this video, please like it. If you could, please give me a comment. I will respond, hopefully. I'm pretty sure I will. And share the video and tell people about it. The weeks are getting tougher, and I believe that's all I can think of to say. Hold up, before we go, I forgot to say thank you to all that have subscribed. We went up by 4 this time. You guys have my back. I love it. But thank you guys. Please continue to subscribe. Okay, that's all I got to say. Bye.